Hi lovelies, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's tutorial I'll be making this Bubu dress, as you can see here. So if this is something you're interested in, kindly stay tuned and keep watching. So I'm using an Ankara fabric, and my Ankara fabric is 3 years because I'm a plus size person. But if you're a medium size person or a small size person, you can make use of 2 years. So my Ankara fabric is in fold. I folded it into two because I'm cutting the front part first. Then the first thing you should do is to create a starting line for your measurement. After you're done with that, you take your bust point measurement, your waistline measurement, which is your hips, your half length, then your hips line measurement and the length of where you want this dress to stop. Then after you're done with that, you take your ruler and then you connect those lines together to give you a straight line. Then you mark your shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 16 divided by 2. Then I mark the sleeve length for this dress. That's from the middle of my shoulder to where I want the sleeve to reach, and that gave me 20 inches. Then the next thing I did was to take my body measurements, my bust measurement divided by 4 plus 3 inches allowance because it's going to be a free dress. My waist measurements divided by 4 plus 3 inches allowance. My hips measurements divided by 4 plus 3 inches allowance, as you can do here. Then the next thing I did was to connect the lines together till I got to my bust point. That was where I stopped. Then I had to measure the round sleeve of my arm, like the sleeve of this dress. I measured the round sleeve. It's not going to be a fitted sleeve, it's going to be a big and free sleeve. So normally my round sleeve is 16, but I used 22, and 22 divided by 2, that's 11. So I marked 11 inches for the roundness of this sleeve. Then after I was done with that, I connected the measurements for the roundness of this sleeve to the waistline where I had stopped at. I did not join the bust measurements together because it's going to be a free dress and the bust has to be very free. Then the next thing I did was to draw a straight line to indicate that was where the length of the sleeve was stopping. And after I was done with that, the next thing I did was to create my neckline. The wideness of my neck, I used 4.5 inches because there's not going to be a zipper and it has to be free for my head to pass in. Then the wideness of the neck was 4.5 inches. Then I came down by 3.5 inches because I just needed something free on me. I did not just want it to choke me. Then the next thing I did was to connect my lines together. So the next thing you should do is to cut out the places you've marked with your chalk outs. Please always use pin to hold your fabrics while cutting so it doesn't move. Then the next thing I did was to cut out the English mouth of this fabric and the neckline of this fabric. Then I folded my fabric and kept it aside. The next thing I did was to place another material on the table. Then the front part, I just placed it on top of this because I was about cutting the back part. There is no difference between the neckline of the front and the back. That's why I just placed the front on the back piece and cut everything the same thing. It's a Bubu dress. There is no actual difference. So after I was done with that, I went to my sewing machine and then I bent the down part of this dress. While I was taking the measurement of this dress, I added 2 inches for bending allowance. So what I did here was I took in ½ inch, then I folded another 1.5 inch, as you can see me do here, so that at the end of everything I'll have my 2 inches inside, so it does not affect the length of this dress. So I kept on measuring 1.5 inches outside, then ½ inch inside, so I don't get to make any mistake. So I did the same thing for the back piece, and after I was done with that, I joined the shoulder of this dress. This is the first side of the right side or the left, any one of the shoulder, and I also did the same thing for the second part of the shoulder. So please note, while joining your shoulder, you should only use ½ inch to join your shoulder so it does not affect the length of your dress. So after I was done with that, I needed to tape my neckline with a bias. I did not want to use a facing, so I'm using a black bias here, as you can see. And to do this, I'll be starting with the front part of the dress because I have to push in the bias to the inner part of this dress. So all I did was place my bias on my neckline and I sewed around it, as you can see me do here. So the next thing I did was to turn my dress to the inner parts. Like I said earlier, I was going to be pushing the bias inside so it does not show outside this dress, and I just had to sew. It's just easy, something that you can do, you get. So I just sewed it around the neckline, and this is what it gave me. It gave me a very clean and neat look. So after I was done taping the neck of this dress, I went ahead to measure the roundness of my sleeve, and since it is in fold, it gave me 9.5 inches. 9.5 inches plus 9.5 inches, that's 19 inches. So this is the black fabric I'll be combining with this style. I measured the 19 inches for the roundness of the sleeve, and I wanted the length of black doll face on the sleeve to be 2.5 inches. Why? Because I'll be sewing half inches inside and I'll be bending half inches inside, so I'll be left with 1.5 inches, which is not big enough. So all I did was to measure 5 inches here to avoid me cutting the same thing twice. So I just had to mark everything at once. Then the next thing I did was to divide the fabrics into two parts, one for the right hand of this sleeve and the second one for the left hand of this sleeve. So I went straight to my sewing machine to attach this black material to my dress. As you can see, there's a part of this material that is shining while there's a part that is dull. So the place that is shining, you're going to place it on the inner part of this dress, not the outer part, because this black fabric, we're going to be bringing it outside to the good of this dress. So I place the shining part of this dress on the inner part of the ankara. The shiny part of the material, I placed it on the inner part of this ankara. Then I sewed, as you can see me do here. Then after I was done with that, I turned my fabric to the front part. Then I double stitched the black part on the ankara so it can stay. You can do this when you don't have power supply to iron your black fabric to make it straight. So as you can see me, I stitched down the black material on top the ankara fabric. That's what we call double stitching. So after I was done with that, since there's no power supply, I had to take my office pin and then pin down the black material to the ankara fabric, just so it could make it straight, since there was no light to iron it out. And after I was done with that, I took half inch inside. Like I said earlier, I took half inch inside, so it's 1.5 inches for my black material. Then I sewed down to the end of the sleeve of this dress. I still kept on using the same half inches inside because I don't want one round sleeve of this black material to be 1.5, the other part to be 1 inch. So I repeated the same thing for the second sleeve of this dress. So as you can see on this style, there's this black design in the middle part of this dress. So I wanted mine to be 16 inches wide and 15 inches long, as you can see. Then I came to the middle part of this 16 inches, which is 8. Then I went to the part where I marked 15 inches. I came down by 6 inches on both sides. Then I connected the lines, as you can see me do here. Then I already have what I need for the front design of this dress. I went straight to my ankara fabric and imputed the same measurements I used while I was cutting the black fabric. I used the same measurements on the ankara fabric. And how did I do that? All I did was to, first of all, I figured out the middle part of that dress, so when I put on this dress it doesn't look bent. So when I figured out the middle dress, that was when I started marking my measurements. I figured the part of the dress, then I was able to mark the wideness as 16. Then I came down by 4 inches because that was where I wanted the design to So you went down by 4 inches, it's your own choice. Me, I wanted mine to start from there, so I came down by 4 inches, as you can see. Then from that 4 inches that I came down like this, that was where I started all the measurements that I'll be using for this front design. So after I'd marked the same measurements I used while cutting out that black design on my Ankara fabric, I went straight to my sewing machine. I started from the middle point that is pointing here. I had already ironed half inches inside, but I was video that part. So I used my pin to hold that part down so it doesn't move while I am sewing. And then after I was done with that, this is what the black design is looking like. So the next thing we are going to do now is to close our dress. So I'll be using half inches to close the dress. So this black design that I'm attaching to this dress is your choice. If you want to attach a black design, if you want to attach any dress, it's your choice. And this is the final look of our dress. Please, if you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel,